Good morning. I'm meteorologist Kevin Smith at the National Weather Service in Pocatello with another edition of your Southeast Idaho Weather Hazard Briefing. This one for Thursday, April 4th, 2019. Start out with the regional radar loop, and it's actually really quiet out there this morning. Nice break for just about everybody compared to the shower activity that we've seen over the last few days. You may notice some echoes here that are crossing the eastern Magic Valley into the lower Snake Plain, portions of the Caribou Highlands. We haven't gotten any reports of precipitation out of this, and looking at some of our radar products, we actually think this is very likely chaff from military exercises and not actually any shower activity we have to deal with. So nice and quiet this morning. We are expecting a little bit of redevelopment once again this afternoon, kind of similar to what we had going on yesterday afternoon. Now, a little bit of a disagreement between some of our models and really how much activity we might see develop and what areas might be affected. But we do have a little bit of agreement among our high-resolution models in this corridor from the eastern Magic Valley and Cassia County up across the Snake Plain into Fremont County, Island Park area, the Teton Valley, and portions of the Caribou Highlands, seeing the best chance for some development of isolated to scattered showers this afternoon. We have just a little bit of instability forecast again today, and that might be just enough for a thunderstorm or two to also develop in this general corridor this afternoon. Now, we only saw a couple token lightning strikes yesterday with this activity. We had that in the forecast yesterday afternoon as well. Instability parameters look just a little bit better. It's still not a great setup, but I think we have just a slightly better setup today for a few of those thunderstorms with the activity this afternoon. No severe weather expected across the region. It's still going to be pretty marginal. Hazards would include perhaps some lightning strikes and maybe a few downpours in that activity. Best chance for thunderstorms in this general corridor will be from about 3 p.m. until about 9 p.m. this evening. High temperatures today getting up a little warmer than yesterday, mid-50s to low 60s here at lower elevations of the eastern Magic Valley into the Snake Plain, some of the adjacent valleys. Our towns and population centers and our mountains and highlands generally getting into the mid-40s, places like Island Park, Driggs, down here to Soda Springs and Montpelier, and up to Mackay for high temperatures this afternoon. Now we have a low pressure system that is going to be spinning off of the Pacific Northwest coast over the next several days. And as it does so, it's going to eject a couple disturbances in across the northern Rockies over the next few days. And we're still dividing this into two main waves, two main disturbances that are going to come in across our forecast area here in Idaho. The first one is still slated from tonight into tomorrow afternoon across the region. And if you listened to our briefing yesterday, we told you this is expected to be the lighter or the drier of the two waves that are going to be coming in. Generally, that still holds true, but we have noticed a little bit of an increase in our projected precipitation amounts as our total QPF, our total liquid that we're expecting here across the Central Mountains. We may see some areas get up to 1/4 inch to 4/10 of an inch across the western Central Mountains. Elsewhere across the region, generally 1/10 or 2 of an inch possible with this system moving through, so still generally drier. Snow levels are going to be running really high. Still fairly mild temperatures, those snow levels up about 7,500 feet as this system moves through. So as we switch over to the total snow expected with this first wave, still predominantly not expecting travel impacts across the region. May see a few peaks and ridge lines here, pick up a couple inches in the Central Mountains. May see a slushy accumulation briefly during the morning hours on Friday for Ketchum and Stanley, Banner Summit and Galena Summit. But outside of that, again, not expecting problems from frozen precipitation. High temperatures on Friday, fairly similar here, getting into the mid to upper 50s at lower elevations, generally mid to upper 40s in our mountain ranges. Second wave, still looking like the wetter and more organized of the two, and this is forecast across the region from Friday night into Saturday morning. Some of this possibly lingering into Saturday afternoon, depending on which model you look at. Still expected to be the wetter one, but two changes we've noticed here. One, less precipitation now forecast for the western Central Mountains. Remember, this is an area that we've been watching for the past day or two for some potential travel impacts with this second wave, and we'll look at snow in a sec. Possibly wetter down here across the southern highlands, the Bear Lake region, Caribou Highlands, Wyoming border. Now expecting 1/4 to 1/2 inch of precipitation down in this area. Generally a little bit less, around 1/4 of an inch in the western Central Mountains, and even less in the Snake Plain. Snow levels will start out about 7,000 feet as we get into Friday evening, but they are going to come down pretty progressively as we get into Saturday morning, as there will be a cold front associated with this second wave, this second round of precipitation. So as I switch over to snow, really the side effect of this change in our precipitation amounts, less snow now forecast across the western central mountains, which is definitely a good sign. May see an inch or two for places like Ketchum and Stanley, maybe 2 or 3 inches over Banner Summit and Galena Summit, near Clayton as well, maybe a little slushy accumulation over Willow Creek. And a little bit more snow now filling in down here in the south and east, but still snow levels running high enough, not expecting impacts on the highways outside of maybe an inch or two over Immigration Summit, maybe an inch or so over Pine Creek Pass. So even with this second wave, generally we're not expecting major travel impacts based on our latest projections for rain and snowfall amounts. High temperatures Saturday behind that cold front coming down about 5 or 6 degrees for those highs, getting generally into the low 50s at lower elevations and the low 40s in our mountains and highlands. We'll also have some strong westerly winds forecast to come in behind that cold front. That cold front is timed for Saturday morning into early Saturday afternoon from west to east across the region. You can see wind gusts of 25 to 35 miles per hour will be quite common behind that front. Highest gusts up here in the highest elevations of our mountains, and also down here in the Snake Plain, places like Pocatello, the Arco Desert, Idaho Falls, and Blackfoot, kind of our normal windy corridor for these types of systems. We'll see a drying trend as we head into Saturday evening, maybe a rain or snow shower holding on in some of our mountains, but generally drying out at the lower elevations, and that'll continue overnight Saturday night. Similar picture expected Sunday. Again, maybe a light rain or snow shower in our mountains, but generally quiet, predominantly dry weather for most locations. Kind of a break in between our various systems on Sunday. High temperatures starting to inch up a few degrees versus what we'll see on Saturday. Now, with the rounds of precipitation moving through, the continued mild weather, of course, we continue to closely monitor the potential for flooding. Still only have one alert in effect, and that's this flood advisory that's in effect for the Silver Creek area, really from where Silver Creek comes down into the Littlewood River, up through Peekaboo, and then down to the lower end here of the Wood River Valley. Minor flooding is possible. Some of the drainages, Silver Creek, obviously, District Canal 45, Patton Creek, Bueller Drain, Cane Creek, Mud Creek, Willow Creek, Loving Creek. These are all some of the small drainages that may be affected by bankfill conditions or some ponding, seepage, minor flooding conditions. Also, areas like Kilpatrick Bridge Road and the Flats, just to the west of Peekaboo here, could pick up some minor problems. Here's the latest hydrograph for Silver Creek, and again, if you're not used to looking at these very regularly, this blue line indicates the water level over the last several days, and you can see the time steps here along the bottom of the graph. This blue dotted line is right now. So over the last several days, we've been right near bankfull, right near action stage, but haven't really made a push into flood stage. And that's why we think impacts will be relatively minor. Expecting this to continue over the next several days with the warm temperatures and additional precipitation. The only other river so far that is projected to potentially approach bankfull, again, is the Portneuf River. Here's our hydrograph for the Portneuf River at Topaz. You can see that level rising, and the forecast here over the next several days brings it very close to bankfull, although not quite making it there, but getting close possibly by Sunday. Similar situation, similar trend seen here at Portneuf River at Pocatello. Not quite reaching bankfull, but projected to get fairly close. This area may be more in the Monday to Tuesday time frame. Of course, if we are able to reach bankfull, the first area we might see a little bit of problems with minor flooding would be the bike trails and such down in areas like Sacagawea Park. But right now, holding just a little bit shy of that action stage or those bankfull conditions. We'll continue to monitor these in the days ahead. That's it for your hazard briefing this morning. If you have any questions, please reach out. Have a great day.